welcome back to the marketing mix. So today we're going to be looking at process and physical, which you'll remember are two of the 7 P's that we looked at overall. Just to remind you, here's the overall model. In previous videos, we've looked at product, price, promotion, and place, which are also the basic 4 if you do the 4P model and you're studying GCSE or level 2. So today, for those of you that are doing level 3s or A-levels or beyond, you'll also need to know these other 3 aspects of the marketing mix. And today we're going to look at physical and process. So then next week I'll do a video on people and just tying together all those aspects into one. It's worth just reminding you at this stage that this is a model and that all of these elements do really overlap. And also it's really just a framework to look at the way that companies do things. It's never going to adhere exactly to this in real life. Okay, so process. By this, we're talking about the process for the customer. How do they choose the product? How do they buy it? And how does that product then get to them? And how does all of this impact their choice to buy? Remember that we're talking about marketing. One of the things that I find with students is that those who fail on this are the ones who go off on a little bit of a tangent and start talking about all sorts of things to do with processes or all sorts of things to do with the place that isn't really related directly to marketing. So make sure that you do keep that in mind. So firstly, how does the customer select that product? Now remember, we're looking from a marketing point of view. This isn't about whether it's efficient or not. It's about whether that process in itself is something that will persuade a customer to buy. Perhaps the obvious one that you think about is the role of salespeople. Somewhere like a mobile phone shop, for example, somebody will go and get that phone, they will show it to you working, and they will have all the sales patter. And that's something that we'll look at a little bit more next week. But equally, the look of the store, the layout of somewhere like IKEA, makes people stay in the store longer and therefore buy more. And that again is an overlap with what we looked at when we talked about place. Can you pick up the product and look at it? Can you try the products? If it's clothing, can you try those on? Are there adequate mirrors so that you can see what you'd really look like in that clothing? Can you try the mobile phone or the computer or the car that you're buying? Can you see it physically, or are you buying online? If you're buying online, how good are the images? How good are the descriptions? A really good description and a really good image will persuade more people to buy than inadequate information, unclear images, etc. Catalogues as well. Argos there being perhaps the best known one at the moment. You go into an Argos store, but you don't actually see the physical product before you buy it. And that's quite an unusual model, but it seems to work really well for them. Why does it work? Because it's quick. And that's another aspect of this process of selecting. Speed is quite important to a lot of people now. So how does the customer pay? To buy now, pay later, for example, is an option that is very often offered, especially on bigger purchases. And that in itself doesn't benefit the company, obviously. What does benefit the company is the fact that more people will buy if they have that option, which makes it a very effective marketing tool. The payment methods that are accepted, things like the credit cards there or the debit cards, the more methods of payment you're able to accept, the more customers you're opening yourself up to. Things like security of payment, speed of service if you're going through a till, all of those things are going to be part of your marketing process. Imagine, for example, there was a shop near you and you knew that every time you go in there, it takes half an hour to get served. however good the products are and however much you wanted them, you might be a little bit less likely to go. So again, speed is really important. Efficiency, speed, do you get a receipt? Do they offer you a bag? All those kinds of things about the payment process itself, we might not normally think of as being to do with marketing the product because, in a sense, it's already been bought. But it is important because these things become known before people buy, and they will influence that buying decision. And delivery. More and more we're shopping online, especially at the moment. Amazon, for example, one of their major selling points is this Amazon Prime, which means you get your goods delivered to your door the next day. Things like food deliveries as well. To be able to have pizza, chips, burgers, whatever delivered to your home, that's the selling point. And there's a time attached to this as well. Notice a trend here. Time is important to people, and knowing that I can get the product the next day may well mean that I'm prepared to pay slightly more for it than I would otherwise, or that I will buy from that particular company that can deliver the next day rather than from one who is going to take longer. If you're buying online, maybe you're buying, old exam papers or PDF books, those kinds of things, can you instantly download them? That again is a selling point. What we know is going to happen after the sale, how quickly we're going to get our goods, and in what method we're going to get our goods is going to influence whether or not we buy. Therefore, it is part of marketing. And so, moving on. So, process, we're looking at how the customer selects the goods, how they purchase it, how those goods then get to them. Now, obviously, sometimes in a shop like you see here, the customer will just take the product away with them, but that in itself is part of the process, that they can just pick it up and take it away. So these are all things that you can look into a little bit more. And if you do a case study, don't forget to look at those aspects of how the customer makes their choice, how they buy it, whether they take it straight home with them or whether the business is delivering. Is it online? Is it not? And how that influences buying decisions. Okay, so physical evidence. There's some overlap again here with things like product and place. But what we're really talking about here is the physical evidence of the purchase, which isn't so much the product itself. So the classic example I like to use is a haircut. If I go to a hairdresser and get my hair done, I'm paying for the haircut itself, but I'm also paying for the experience. I'm paying for someone else to wash my hair, for their expertise, to sit in a nice salon while they do it, and all of those things. But what I walk away with is what my hair looks like. And if someone sees me on the street and says, "Oh my goodness, your hair looks amazing. Where did you get that done?" Bang. There is the marketing. That's the marketing aspect, is that other people will see what is taken away and want to buy. We could also place things like packaging in this section, although again it's an overlap with the products, the way that things are packaged, carrier bags as well. Almost every retailer you can think of, they have branded carrier bags that you can take away with you, branded packaging that they send through the post. And again, it's an aspect of marketing. It's showing people their name. No. So what we're talking about here is what you're going to take away from the service. And that's going to be very, very different depending on the type of business that you're talking about. It could just be the product itself, but it may well be slightly different from that. Okay, so we've looked now at 6 of our 7 P's in the marketing mix, And as I keep saying to you, you will have noticed there's quite a lot of overlap there. Now, next week, we're going to look at people, which I feel is a really important part of this. It is people who sell. And then we'll just tie up the loose ends and pull the 7 together. And that will be this particular topic finished. So really well done. Hope you enjoyed the video. And thank you for watching. See you next week.